I get
Mhm.
right into it. All right, y'all are trying to pay that mortgage off. I'm assuming something happened to you, right? Perfect. Well, before I go over this, I do need to send over my credentials. Before COVID, they were having me come out, verify that you're not incapacitated or anything. I don't have to do that these days, but there is a protocol. This is regulated through the state, so I need to follow this. So I need to send my credentials to you. What's your email address? Ring ring, you answer the phone.
Hello.
Hey, Kendall.
Aloha.
Hey,
Yes.
Kendall. Good morning. My name is Christian. Listen, I'm not going to keep you. Reason I'm calling, I'm following up with you about the paperwork that you had mailed in. God, I don't even know how long it's been. It was when you originally closed on your loan with Rocket Mortgage. It was about the information on this mortgage protection.
Mhm.
And my question to you is, did anybody ever help you with it or contact you about it?
Mhm.
Yes, they did. Okay. Did you end up getting a policy? I did. Yeah, we got a policy. Okay. The reason I ask is because there's been a lot of changes in this industry in the past couple of years, a lot of rate changes, more benefits added. Do you think it'd be a good idea, since you're paying on that policy for a long time, do you think it'd be a good idea to make sure you're not overpaying and to make sure that you have all the available benefits out there? Do you think that'd be a good idea?
Mhm.
Yes, I do, Christian. Okay. Well, look, I have some availability today. This will be a phone call. I know somebody probably came out the first time they talked to you. It's been a lot easier since COVID, so it'll just be a brief call. We'll just make sure that you are up to date on your benefits and make sure that you're not overpaying substantially. Um, I have availability this afternoon or evening. What works best for you?
Mhm.
Okay, 5:30, perfect. I can call you at 6. I can't do 5:30, I can do 6. Does that work? Okay, good. Take 10, 15 minutes, check eligibility, make sure you got the best thing. Okay, I'll call you from this number. All right, bye. If they say no, I never did anything, I'll say, okay, why not? Well,
Mhm.
it's just too much money. Okay. Well, look, there's been a lot of rate changes. A lot of things have changed in the past couple of years. Is paying the house off important to you still? Yeah,
Mhm.
it's important to me. Okay. Do you think it'd be a good idea to check and see if there's been something that makes more sense to you if paying the house also is important to you? I do think it's a good idea. All right, perfect. I do the same thing. I call them. Here's the only other thing that can happen is they say no to those questions.
Yeah.
If they say no to those questions, nobody can help them. They don't want help. I don't want to waste my time. I'd rather talk to somebody who cares about it. So if they say no to those questions, I'm done and I move on.
Mhm.
So I keep it very brief. I'm very personable, and I'm just a regular person. I'm not like this guy in a call center or whatever. I'm not formal at all,
Yeah.
and I think it establishes a lot of trust, because really the key to this and the key to virtual is you have to have the ability to have somebody trust you immediately.
Yeah.
And when you can do that, people are going to buy from you. So that's the thing. If people will trust you quickly and you can gain that trust, you're going to be just fine.
Mhm.
So that's the route I would go in the old leads, A leads. You know, that's a different ball game. It's so easy. I'll say, Kendall, my name's Christian. I'm calling about the paperwork you recently just mailed in about the mortgage protection on your loan with Rocket Mortgage. Like I
Mhm.
said, my name's Christian. I'm the area manager. My job is to go over options, check eligibility, give you a quote, all that stuff. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes over the phone. It's very simple. Are you guys usually better to catch in the afternoon or evening for a minute? Perfect. I got a 6 o'clock. Would that work for you? Boom, book it. Those are like shooting, hunting in a zoo basically with the A leads. It's ridiculous. So those are the two different leads. I treat them the same way. I just kind of set it up a little different because I am doing more quality control. I just really don't say what I'm doing. I just kind of, I ask them a question. I'm genuinely interested if they have help with it. That's it. So those are the two routes I would go.
So you call them on the phone first, so you're not just having them join like a Zoom or the whereby through a calendar appointment.
No,
Just
no,
call
no.
on
I
the
call them. I'll tell you why.
phone.
People are always going to take the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
That's naturally anybody. So if you make something too hard or too many obstacles, they're not even going to fool with it. So I
Yeah.
make it very, very casual and non-formal. I'm like, hey, it's just a phone call. I'm gonna call you. Take about 10, 15 minutes.
Nice. Yeah, that's
They answer
awesome.
the yeah, and they answer the phone, and that's when I guide them down the road I need to get them on.
And then the license, obviously, that compliance stuff, you're emailing them and saying, do you see this? And
Yes,
so,
I'm emailing it to them. I'm walking them through it.
The call where you book the appointment, that's where you're gathering their email address because
No,
it.
nope. I don't even mention anything. The original call where I booked the appointment, I say, hey, listen, my job is just to go over options, give you a quote. This is all over the phone. It's very simple. What time is usually a good time to call y'all about this, afternoon or evening? That original phone call don't do anything but book the appointment.
Okay, so then when you call them for the appointment, that's where you're getting their email address to send the
Yes. I'm like,
confirm.
hey, listen,
Okay.
I'm gonna go over this with you, but before I do, there's a protocol I need to follow. This stuff is regulated. Used to be I have to come see you. I don't have to, but I do need to do this since I'm not there with you in person. I need to send my license to you. What's a good email address?
You're booking on the hour, so appointment per hour.
Yes, I do it per hour because really it takes about, and with things with these, I do not build rapport in the front end. People do not care about that. They don't care. They don't want you to ask them questions. I do it very organically throughout my appointment. So when I call these folks, I'm like, hey, Kendall, it's Christian. How's it going? Perfect. Listen, I don't want to keep you. Is this still a good time for y'all for a couple minutes? All right, great. You want to just grab whoever their name, let's say Randy. Grab Randy, put me on speaker. All right. And then I'm like, hey guys, look, I don't, like I said, I'm not gonna keep you. I know you're ready to wind down. So I get right into it. All right, y'all are trying to pay that mortgage off. I'm assuming something happened to you, right? Perfect. Well, before I go over this, I do need to send over my credentials. Before COVID, they were having me come out, verify that you're not incapacitated or anything. I don't have to do that these days, but there is a protocol. This is regulated through the state, so I need to follow this. So I need to send my credentials to you. What's your email address? I send them my license for whatever state I'm running. So I'll say, hey, this will be from Christian Pounder. The subject will say mortgage protection, and you're going to see my license attached at the very bottom of this. I just sent it to you. Let me know when you get it, please. They get it. Perfect. Look at my license. I want to show you my license number and some license have my address. I'm like, hey, check my address out. That's where I'm talking to you from. I want you to have that, okay? So you can close that out. You're looking at just my email signature. You're going to see a picture of me and my family. You'll see a phone number, an email address, and you're going to see a link that says whereby.com. You see that? Go ahead and click on that. That's what I'm going to use to go over this with you. Once I get them on camera, that's when I do the rapport thing. So once I get them on camera, I've got them past that. They can see my face. Tell them what's about to happen. I do my intro, build it organically. I ask them how long you've been married, you got kids, just kind of as I go. So by the end of it, I've gotten to know them, but I did it through the appointment instead of like, this is the block where you build rapport in the beginning. It's not very formal, and I'll say the subject is going to say mortgage protection. You will see my name. Let me know when you get it. I'll say that PDF down at the bottom. Go ahead and click on that. That's going to be a copy for you of my insurance license for the state of Kentucky or Indiana or wherever.
Okay, cool. It's very casual. I really, really like that.
Very
Like
casual.
path of least resistance. And then with the client worksheet, what I saw through Nate's training videos was that he was on his iPad and visually showing it on the screen. But I'm sure you guys.
I don't do that at all. I don't do that at all. I don't screen share when I fill the app out. I don't do any of it. So what I do, I got an iMac, I got a desktop. So I just pull up another window. I drag that window to my left. I'm looking at this window and still talking to them as I ask them questions. So they hear me clicking, typing, and all that, and I'm just filling out the app. I fill it out with them on the phone, but I'm in another window on my screen, filling the app out, talking with them as I do it. The app is the actual application. So I do the client worksheet with a pen and a piece of paper.
Okay.
So I print those out, and I do it as I'm talking with them. I'm writing down information on my client worksheet, and I'll be talking with them. I'll write down, get your prescriptions. I'll write down their prescriptions. Yep. And then when I, do the why and all that, I write all that down, but I'm talking with them, just filling it out on my paper. And then when I have them about to show them options, I say, look, go ahead and grab a pen, a piece of paper. I'm gonna show you a few options. I'll have them write out options. I'll give them 3 options. And I'll say, based on what we talked about, what you want it to look like, and obviously from a budget standpoint, would any of those options make sense to you guys if I can get you approved? And here's what it comes down to. I know you mentioned objections. Look, if you're doing your process right and you're doing your presentation right, you're not going to get objections when you show numbers.
Yeah.
Here's why. Because the only reason, so if there's no value for somebody, I don't even show options. If they don't answer the questions like I want them to answer the questions, I don't move forward until they answer them the way I need them to. If they don't, I don't even move forward because they're not going to buy. They're going to say, I'm going to think about it.
Yeah.
So by the time we get to options, I've already established a good why. I've driven it down. We've got value. I know that they're potentially eligible to qualify. I got everything I need. They already see value. They've already told me what they want it to look like. They've told me, okay, we've crystallized their thinking with their imagination by the right questions. Like, we got it. So by the time I get to numbers, I don't get objections. The only thing it ever comes down to is money. So when they say, hey, can we think about it? I'll say, Kendall, look, you can think about this all day. You can think about it the rest of your life. This is up to you. Let me ask you this. If this was free, would you need to think about it? No. Okay. So obviously, so you see value in the coverage, what we went over, what it'll do for you, right? Yes. So this comes down to money. Yes. Okay. I'm a real person. I have a budget. That's why I showed you 3 options. Because even if you don't do the top one, even if you do this one, it's still going to be a big tax-free bucket of cash to make sure that you got time, which is going to be a great asset when something happens to you. Because the last thing you want to do is be burdened financially on top of being devastated emotionally. Wouldn't you agree? Yes. So that being said, go off just money. I know you want this, but if it's too much, it's too much. So if this top one doesn't work just based on money, is that too much money a month? Yes. Is this middle one too much? Well, I feel like we could do it, but it might be tight. Just cross it out, because I don't want 3 months coming from now, your tires blow out and you got to get rid of your insurance. That's not going to help nobody. This bottom one right here, if I can get you approved, would that make sense? Yeah, that's better. Okay, that's the one we'll go with. So if you've done a good job with the why and the value, it's always money. And when you say, if this was free, do you need to think about it? They will always say, no, I don't need to think about it. Okay, then it's money. Yes. Well, let's figure something out that makes sense for your budget, because I know something is better than nothing. Wouldn't you agree? Yes. And before I even show numbers, I go ahead and drive all that down. So I'll say, I'm going to show you 3 numbers. The reason I'm showing you 3 options, Kendall, is because I know if this was free, I know which one you would pick. You would pick the top one. I know that. You pick the most. But this may not make sense budget-wise to do. So I'm showing you 3s because even at the end of the day, you don't do the top one, you can at least do a big tax-free bucket of cash to make sure you're going to have enough time to where you're not going to be burdened financially while you're transitioning.
Mm-hmm.
I like do it in the beginning. So then I say, based on everything we talked about, what you want it to look like, what it would look like without it. And obviously from a budget and coverage standpoint, would any of those options make sense? I'm telling you, if you do a good job and they need it, can afford it, and can qualify, you should always write an application, period. And if you don't, you missed it. You did something wrong. 20% of the people will buy no matter what. Their uncle died last year. They saw their aunt lose everything. They're ready to buy. They've already had a conversation. Hey, look, if this is under $200, we are getting this. And the other 60%, that's going to be your profit margin, and that's going to come down to your skill and your ability. The better you get, the more of that pie chart you're going to start closing. As far as your schedule, that's going to be personal to you.
Yeah.
Same day appointments, obviously. I know Nate talked to you about, you want same day. I just had 2 appointments that I called this. This happens sometimes, but I called these folks on Monday. I booked appointments with them. I rescheduled for Tuesday. They rescheduled again, and I confirmed yesterday, and that's why I rescheduled for today. They both no-show me.
Yeah.
So if it's not the same day, your no-show rate is probably going to be 80%. 80%.
Yeah.
If it is the same day, your show rate is going to be about 60 to 70%. That's about as good as you're going to get. You're not going to get better than 70%. You're really going to be more about 60%. So if you book 6 appointments, you'll talk to 4 people, you write 2 applications. 6, 4, 2. That's really the numbers with virtual. They've tracked it for a long time. I've tracked it for a long time. That's about it. Sometimes you write 4 apps, sometimes you write 0 apps, but it all averages out. So 6, 4, 2 on virtual, you know the numbers. You can do reverse engineering to figure out exactly what you need to do to make the money you want to make. I love this system. It is very predictable. But as far as scheduling, same day. So you just going to have to figure out what time you need to dial and what time, you need to run your appointments, but you need to do the same day. It's just going to be tough if not. So you have to figure that out. But Kim, do you have anything else to add?
No, not really. I think you covered it all.
I love Kim. She's the best.
I've heard wonderful things. I've seen your videos, Christian, and Kim, your name just keeps coming up. So
Amazing.
thank you for all that you do. I am curious about the way the 2 of you structure your day and what your day looks like. You said you're spending an hour on dials, and then how many appointments per day?
Kim, I'll let you go first, Kim, because Kim is like the most consistent person I've ever seen. I'm so impressed. She really motivates me, and so I'll let you take over that question, Kim.
Well, thank you. I book my appointments in the mornings,
Okay.
and then I usually start at 2 in the afternoon. I usually do end up with like a 7 o'clock appointment at night. So it just depends. But I start at 2 and I go to 7, or if I need to go past 7, which I have been, I'll go past 7. I was taught, you want minimum 6 appointments a day with virtual. Try to get, I guess a lot of times I try to get 8. So I end up with 6. Did I answer it?
She's so great. I love her.
How much time do you spend on dials to book appointments? So that's your,
Sometimes it's pretty fast for me. Sometimes I can do an hour and a half. Sometimes it's 2 hours.
Sure.
It varies. I mean, and I've had some real challenging days where it just seemed like, I had to go longer than that. I'd say on average for me, I figure 2 hours.
okay, gotcha.
But now Christian's more experienced than I am, so he,
Well, at the end of the day, sometimes people just don't answer the phone.
Yeah.
So I dial about 10 o'clock. I dial at 10 o'clock. So I got young kids, so my schedule's the same every day, but it's not like just when I sit down I work all day. That's not, I wish it was like that, but I have to break it up. So I take the kids to school. I take an hour for myself from 9 to 10. 10 o'clock I'm on the phone dialing. That's usually a good time for me. 10 o'clock, people answer that phone. 10 to 11, sometimes they don't answer. So what I do is I call everybody twice back to back.
Mhm.
Unless I don't have that many leads, then I'm calling them 3 times back to back. If they don't answer, I'm moving on twice, back to back, back to back, back to back. If I book 6 appointments within that stack, I don't do anything with the other leads till the next day. If I don't book 6 appointments within that stack, or at least 5, sometimes I only run 5, but I like 6. If I don't book 6 with that stack, I go back and I'll call them all once again. They don't answer, I'll send a text. But I'll send them a text, and I probably book 20% of my appointments off of texting. That's what I do. If they don't answer again, I've already tried to get a hold of them. I'll call clients, try to book appointments with clients, I've written like 3 big apps today just off older clients. I do policy reviews. I'll see if I can save them money. I mean, I have over 1,000 clients by now, so I got plenty to do. Usually I'm able to book 6, at least within 2 hours, because I spend another 30, 45 minutes texting on the back end. So sometimes it does take 2 hours. 20% of the people will buy no matter what. Their uncle died last year. They saw their aunt lose everything. They're ready to buy. They've already had a conversation. Hey, look, if this is under $200, we are getting this. And the other 60%, that's going to be your profit margin, and that's going to come down to your skill and your ability. The better you get, the more of that pie chart you're going to start closing.